Good morning, and today we are going to start therapeutic techniques, chapter 5. And throughout the month of May, I've sent you quite a lot of worksheets and videos, NCERT recordings live from Delhi, those kind of recordings based on your NCRT book, CBSE. I've sent you a lot of videos already of the different therapeutic techniques in psychology, and I'm sure that you have got an idea about what it is all about. And let me just refresh your memory that chapter 2, it's personality. So we have different personality theories like psychoanalytical theory by Sigmund Freud. He is also called as the father of psychoanalysis. Then we have the behavioral perspective. In behavior, we have the learning theories, classical conditioning. Then we have, we have classical conditioning by Pavlov. Then we have operant conditioning by Skinner, Watson. That is all about the different kinds of reinforcement, such as positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. So all of that, of course, is just a recap of what we have done already. And in personality theory, basically, when we talk about the behavioral perspective, apart from classical conditioning and operant conditioning, it's also about the social learning perspective, and that is no other than Albert Bandura. So he says that we learn by observing others. Now, the next theory of personality is we have the socio-cultural perspective. So, based on our social, cultural viewpoint, our upbringing, the society we come from, our culture, all of that also determines whether we are going to have a healthy personality or not. Okay, so these are, and also then we have the trait and the type theories of personality. So, based on all of this, especially the psychoanalytical and the behavioral model in chapter 2, personality, then chapter 5 is interrelated, because chapter 2, it's all about the theory part of it. Like, for example, if it is a psychoanalytical approach, in chapter 2, personality, we talk about basically the overall Freud's theory. He talks about the id, ego, superego. Then id, basically, if you have an id personality, it means that you are a lazy personality, only want pleasure seeking activity, no work, only pleasure. So that is an id personality. If you have ego, that is the one which is the best, because it is basically balancing the id and the superego. So it is the reality principle. It makes you think logically, like working, going for a job, having a career. It moves you on the correct track. Then you have superego. Superego, it's not bad, but superego is basically the morality principle, and basically the good boy, good girl image, to society conscious. So it is basically your guilty conscious and the conscious, basically. That is what superego is all about. Then the levels of the consciousness. So 70% is all the unconscious, only 10% is the preconscious, and the remaining 20% is the conscious. So 70% is the entire unconscious, 10% is the preconscious, and then it is the conscious level. So only 20% is above the iceberg. That means 70%, according to Freud, it is all hidden. It is all our latent, which is hidden. All our repressed childhood fears, our guilt, everything is in that unconscious area. So now, linking to that, in chapter 5, when you go on to the techniques, basically psychoanalytical therapy, what is it? Number one, it is similar to hypnosis. The similar situation in which the client and the therapist is there, okay? So how you conduct hypnosis, the client comes in, there is one sort of a couch over there, the client lays down, and he starts talking about whatever comes into his mind. Now, whatever comes into his mind is nothing but free association. So, the therapist has a complete training of psychoanalytical therapy, and he understands, he jots down the particular notes. He understands that, okay, fine, whatever comes to the client's mind means that whatever he's saying, whatever he's not saying, observation, everything he's going to be writing down and noticing what the client is trying to say. Then you have one technique is the dream analysis. And now the dream analysis means that when the client is laying down and he wants to talk whatever he wants to say by the free association method, then in the dream analysis what happens is when the client, maybe if he falls asleep or if he is in that hypnotic situation, so the therapist will ask that what have you dreamt about. So the client is going to tell him that what all did he dream about. So the therapist will try and understand that, and the therapist's job is to take him out of the unconscious into the consciousness. See, psychoanalytical perspective is a contradictive perspective. A lot of people right now don't really practice it because even hypnosis, basically, it's not done nowadays. Very few people do it. You have to have a license to practice it. But the disadvantage of hypnosis or psychoanalytical perspective is it is time consuming, it takes a lot of sessions. Sometimes it is very difficult to get the client back out of the hypnotic or the pre-conscious state. In hypnosis, they use the term subconscious, whereas in psychoanalytical perspective, they use the term pre-conscious state. And it is expensive also to get it done. See, Freud, he had conducted this many years ago, and he basically thought that it really worked. But again, there's been a lot of criticism, especially from the behavioral and the cognitive viewpoints, that no, hypnosis doesn't really work that well. But still, we have to study Freud's theory, and we have to understand that what are the techniques of psychoanalysis. So you just have to remember one thing: to get the unconscious out, we have to make the client come out of his unconscious state. We can question him, we can ask him questions, like what has hurt him in the past, how was his childhood, what was his early years of experiences, why is he unhappy right now. So there are different various techniques of hypnosis and of psychoanalytical perspective. So there is one other term you need to understand when you talk about psychoanalytical perspective is transference. So sometimes what happens is when the therapist questions the client and he comes out with his when it's positive for him, and then all his hidden desires are coming out one by one, which is not painful, he is happy. So it is called as a positive transference. Sometimes the negative transference can also happen, in which the client becomes very frustrated, very angry, because all the hidden past truths are coming out. So sometimes he can be very aggressive towards the therapist. That is called as a negative transference. So these are a couple terms that you need to know. And then what happens is that when this transference sometimes negatively happen, resistance can happen. So resistance means the client might not want to come for another session or maybe 2 more sessions. So this is some kind of a procedure that happens, and only a qualified psychoanalyst can continue this kind of treatment, right? So you just have to know, basically, once you read up, you'll understand it better. Okay, now another thing what Freud he talks about the defense mechanisms. Okay, now Freud says that in order for our anxiety to reduce, we all undergo and we all use different defense mechanisms. Now he has talked about 8 or 9 which are there in your book. The first one is regression, repression. The second one, reaction formation, denial, and so forth. Now, for example, regression. What is regression? Regression means you tend to regress into a childhood state. For example, curling your hair when you're upset, or chewing your pencil when you're upset. So when you are today when you're upset about a particular situation, you might want to and behave like a child, like giggle like a child, laugh like a child. So that defense mechanism is called as regression. So moving to a childhood state for that temporary period. Okay, so sometimes we all do it. All of these defense mechanisms are done by each and every one of us. Okay, only thing, it depends on the severity and it depends on how often are we using this defense mechanism. Now another one is denial. Now denial, we all use it. Now what is denial? Simply we want to deny that we have not done that particular situation. We do denial, we use denial quite a bit every day in our day-to-day situation. Now again, the degree and the severity matters. So little bit of it is fine. Even I use regression, I use denial, I use other defense mechanisms also. But how much do you use it? So Freud says that too much of using defense mechanisms make you a neurotic makes you a neurotic person, and because you use it often, this can lead to psychological disorders. So he talks about another one called as reaction formation. A reaction formation means I'm telling you the opposite feeling. Supposing now a girl wants to propose a boy, but she really likes him. Okay, but what happens is whenever she comes in front of him, she doesn't want to tell the truth. Maybe she'll just avoid him, or maybe she'll say that, oh, I hate you, but actually she really likes him. So telling the opposite feeling of what you want. So I know I love him, but at the same time when I see him, I tell the opposite feeling. That is called as reaction formation, means the opposite feelings. That is also one type of a defense mechanisms people use. Then there is one defense mechanism called as projection. Projection means like blaming others. Like if I've done something wrong, oh, I didn't do it, I'll put the blame on somebody else. So that is called as projection, projecting. Okay. Then rationalization is another defense mechanism. In rationalization, what happens is I tend to make excuses. So I'm making excuses for my faults. Oh, I didn't do it because something came up. So you're trying to defend yourself. I'm trying to rationalize that situation and prove myself right, that I'm not wrong. So that is another defense mechanism also that is there in the book. Okay, like this we have a couple, and of course the good one is called as sublimation. Now sublimation is the only positive defense mechanism that I say that we have is, for example, now if I am frustrated, I'm not going to go and box up somebody. I'm not going to go and hit somebody. That is called as displacing your anger. That is another one called as displacement. If I am upset or if I am frustrated and if I go and bang somebody, if I go and hit somebody, if I go and abuse somebody, that is called as displacement, because I am displacing my anger. Now, but if I frustrated right now and if I want to utilize my time, that particular moment, by not beating up somebody, but by doing some activity of my favorite hobby, like for example, maybe I want to just like, okay, because I'm in a bad mood, or because I'm frustrated, maybe I like to paint, so maybe I'm just going to take out my canvas or something and I'm going to start painting right now. Or maybe I'm going to go and listen to some nice music right now. Or maybe I'm just going to go and call my friend, hey, let's just go out. I've had a fight with my parents today. So all of that is called as sublimation. So sublimation is the best defense mechanism that we all should use. So always remember to displace your anger in a positive way as in sublimation, not in the negative way as in displacement. Okay. Then Freud, now he talks about the id, ego, superego. He talks about the level of consciousness. Then the psychosexual stages also, like oral, anal, phallic, latency, genital. All of that part is clear about Freud. So that is the theory part, and the therapy part would be like the dream the free association, dream interpretation, dream analysis. Okay, so all of that is Freud's technique. Now, you remember in chapter 2, we also did projective techniques. So now based on Freud's technique, he also uses projective techniques. So not only he, there are many followers also of Freud. So they have used techniques such as called as projective techniques, in which they feel that let's use some tools in which the unconscious comes out, like TAT, thematic air perception cards. Like I told you about, that we have those set of 20 or 30 cards, and then there are some picture I show you. And in that particular picture, what's going to happen is that you're going to start drawing. I mean, after you visualize that, or after you see that particular card, you will make up a story. So based on whatever story you make up, the therapist, he tries to jot down your unconscious feelings or motives. Okay. So that is one TAT cards. Then there is Rorschach in block tests, in which again they have these cards, like the ink blot cards. So different diagrams have come out of it. So then you have to tell that what is it. You don't have to tell a story, but you just have to say that what it is. Now based on what you say, also a qualified therapist will try and understand your hidden unconscious motives over there as well. Then you have draw a man. They're going to tell you that draw a man. So based on how you draw a particular man can judge a lot about your unconscious. Maybe you forget one eye, maybe you do the long hair, maybe only one arm you have drawn, not the second arm you have drawn, maybe the fingers. So each and every detail also, they say that can come out in the unconscious, right? Okay, so then you have sentence completion. So you just have to complete a particular sentence, right? So now for today's class, I think psychoanalytical perspective will end over here, and tomorrow we'll start with a new perspective, right? Thank you.